Jesus, it's packed.
Yeah, go down the back there, so. Welcome to the Shnug with Richie and Larvin. Hello, and welcome to the Shnug podcast, a podcast from the west coast of Ireland where we interview interesting folk from every walk of life. We talk about their side hustles, projects, loves, everything in between. Today we are joined by musician, singer-songwriter, forager, brewer, Eoghan Higgins. How are you doing, Eoghan?
How's it going, Richard?
Not
Lovely
too
to
bad.
be here.
Not too bad, yeah. And a fine day to be here as well.
Absolutely beautiful, yeah. The Indian summer at the end of a wet summer, let's just say.
Yeah.
June was lovely, July was shocking. As a farmer, I know everyone talks about the weather. The weather is, at the forefront of everyone's mind, but I'm a farmer myself, so it's serious business, the weather. When it rains in July, all July, it's a tough time on the farm, so really appreciate this bit of sun in September now. Absolutely gorgeous.
You're originally from Corrandulla, is that right?
Yeah, Corrandulla is the nearest village there, but yeah, Ardgaineen, Clare Galway, County Galway. Yeah. It's out in the sticks, in between Headford, Tuam and Clare Galway. There's a small village there, Corrandulla village. I live on a lovely little farm out there.
Nice. And is it a sheep farm or what is it?
Yeah, livestock, sheep and cattle. Dad has every year since I was a young boy. We breed lambs mainly. Oh, okay. That was the thing. Now, since Dad got older, he got out of it. We don't breed lambs anymore. We just buy them in young and finish them off, so they just graze for the summer basically on our fields. But yeah, I grew up lamb and sheep basically, birthing lambs into this world. Traditional livestock, cattle and sheep. Basically.
Yeah. Hard work,
man. There's no getting away from it. Growing up on a farm, but it was good for me. Now, my father worked a lot more than I did. I had a very privileged, cushy life. I was given everything, but still, growing up on a farm, you don't avoid it.
And is that where your parents were from originally?
Well, Dad's home house there. Mum was from Barna.
Oh, okay.
And so that was Dad built a house beside his parents' house, basically inherited the farm, and we stayed there. Yeah. Lovely spot.
Yeah, and so you were saying there about the bad summer. So. Is he cutting silage now, or
we're all finished?
You're all finished
we
already.
We have all our silage well cut, and you see lads doing a second cut now. But we kind of Dad likes to be ahead of the game. Yeah, he likes to kind of get it all out of the way so he can spend the last few weeks of the summer golfing and doing stuff he likes to do. Yeah. So fortunately we got all the silage out of the way and shifted that back home in the yard early enough. Yeah, and then we went to try and save hay there in July, and. It was going well for the first 2 or 3 days, and then the rain came, and then we had wet hay out in the field, and there was just 3-4 days where there wasn't many words said around the house, just a lot of staring and gloom. No, it wasn't that bad, but safe to say we had to wrap up our hay this year. Yeah. I ended up writing a song about it as well, just because there was something there for me. Yeah. Hay not being saved, and it's all what can you do? You can't control the weather. Yeah. So it applied to many other stuff,
And he's a farmer. I don't know his age. He's probably a farmer. 30 years.
Yes, he's 63 years of age. He's farmed since he was a young boy. He grew up on a farm.
And has he seen a big change? With the way the world has gone now. Yeah. With a lot of, has he seen? Is there a different kind of summer than it used to be? Because
that's interesting. You'd have to talk to him now. But I would say, From what he would say is that the season has shifted a little bit. Okay. So maybe spring might start a bit later and summer extends on a bit later and autumn comes in a bit later. That's what I think he would take. He often says that summers were better when he was a kid. Yeah. Now, maybe that's just pure nostalgia.
I think everybody says that.
Yeah. But in terms of changes in farming then probably, yeah. But I mean my grandfather would have seen a lot more changes. My grandfather would have ploughed with a horse and a plough, but my dad didn't. He always had a tractor. So he definitely would have seen some changes. Not in the European market, for one sense, in how you actually, what you do with your final product. Back when Grandad, when he had a cattle to sell, he would just sell it to a neighbour at the farm, at the mart or something like that. Mm-hmm. But it's a whole different story now of going to a slaughterhouse with your livestock, and there's these middlemen who control the price, and it's just all gone very business like.
Yeah.
It's really, really bad. Like, so
globalization.
Yeah, farming is absolutely fucked. It really is. But there's kind of this new wave of going against the grain that's happening now as well. So hopefully, when me and my brother, we kind of, one of us will inherit the farm and we'll work together, I guess. Well, I don't think we'll like adhere to any game, although they do make it hard.
Yeah.
They incentivize you to play the game and to do what you're told, so they'll give you grants.
Yeah.
But yeah, fuck that. Like, if you don't have to sell your stuff, if you can know how to preserve your own food that you're making on your farm and give it to your neighbours and maybe sell it at small scale like that, that's technically illegal. But
is it?
That's technically illegal.
Oh, really? Yeah.
If you were to slaughter,
so it's contraband. What you gave me there now.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it is. Although that's foraged food actually. So,
so that comes
okay.
under a different umbrella.
I guess so. Yeah. I'm not selling it. It was a gift.
yeah.
So
you can write that off for tax purposes or whatever.
I don't know where I was going there, but yeah, Dad would have definitely seen a lot of changes, and I don't know. He's retiring now. Kind of. He's 63. He works at factory as well, so he's been 30 years working in Thermo King in Galway City.
Double jobbing it.
Yeah,
that's fairly common though, isn't it?
Well, there you go. That doesn't that say it? Like, you won't be able to support a family on a farm alone. Like, so Dad knew that when he was 25, 26, wanted to have a family, so he had to work in a factory, and he's done that for 33 years.
Yeah.
So he gets up at 5:30, goes to work, comes home at 3 o'clock, goes out farming for another 3-4 hours. He's done that for my whole life, so. And it's insane, like.
Yeah. And is it only yourself and your brother in it?
My older brother, I have an older sister. There's three of us. Yeah, I'm the youngest.
And you're saying there about inheriting the farm one day. Would you ever think of like diversifying into like, hemp or something like that?
Absolutely. Anything like that. Like, hemp's an amazing material.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of legislation now if you want to grow hemp. You can't grow it by a roadside, and you probably need a license as well to do it.
Okay.
Yeah. No, there's different types. Is it hemp for the fabric, or is it hemp for CBD oil pressing?
You can make concrete out of it and everything.
You can. People make a building block, and there's only advantages for this block.
Yeah.
Now, it's probably very expensive to buy because it's so good, but like, it's fire resistant. It's super light. I've only heard amazing things about hemp.
Yeah.
There's a name for it? Hempcrete or something
Hempcrete,
like that. Something like that. Some clever name. I'd love that. Something like that against the grain. Not just cattle and sheep. Or Ireland is basically one big dairy farm now, like, so there's no space for that anymore. It's just.
So you were talking about, so so we'll probably get on the food side of things first.
Great, let's go.
So with your you're big into your foraging and your preservation and stuff like that. So how did you get interested in that first?
Well, I worked on an organic farm, Green Earth Organics in Corrandulla. I worked there for 5 years, and as part of the food industry, there's always waste. There's always a vegetable, a red pepper that has a mark on it that won't go for sale, and especially in organics, because.
Oh, really?
Especially, even more so in organics, because.
You think it'd be the other way around?
Well, first of all, like, so the apple isn't going to be sprayed with whatever fungicide, so it's going to last longer. The mold isn't going to get to it so quickly. And also, people are paying a premium for the organic product.
Yeah.
So if they see an apple with a bruise in it, they're like, I just paid like through the roof, like literally 4 or 5 times more for this apple, and it's got a bruise on it.
Yeah.
So they'd be ringing down the ladies in the office.
Really? Yeah.
So much. So we were very stringent of like, that's a mark, that's waste.
Yeah.
That doesn't go for sale. But the staff then would reap the benefit. So the pay mightn't have been so great, but you did get the benefit of delicious organic food, like,
Yeah.
That could have been worth 2 or 3 euros an hour extra. And for me, I love that.
Yeah.
So you'd see boxes of red peppers or boxes of apples that are just bruised and just have a mark in them, are perfect, and they'd be going to the waste in the bin, and people can only eat so much fresh, and I would take the leftover spare after everyone has taken what they want, and I'd preserve them. So I saw one lady, she was Lithuanian, she would make pickles, because, in Lithuania there's a great culture of preserving food, and their grandparents would have done it, and their mothers would have done it, and that was lost in Ireland, like, really. So I saw her doing it. I asked her, she's like, just 2% salt, literally. That's all she told me. And then I went home, chopped up a load of red peppers, put them in a 2% salt solution, left them for a couple of weeks, And I checked them and I opened them up and they were like all fizzy and carbonated and just fermenting.
Yeah.
And it was just incredible. And they last for years, you know. It's preserved in bacteria. Lovely sour pickles. Amazing. And jam as well. Jam's just super easy. It's just sugar and fruit and you just cook it. And the sterilization comes from boiling and you'll have fruit all through the winter. So
it's mad. Eastern Europeans know how to do it right. Like I used to live down in Clare, and we used to live in this place between Meadick and Cratloe, and there's Cratloe woods there, and you'd see families of people, you know, over from Poland or whatever, and they'd have the bucket in one hand and they'd have the beer in the other, and then they're gone foraging or whatever, and you know, they'd be gone out the train tracks where we used to live, and they'd be out there, loads of them picking blackberries and stuff like that. Stuff probably that happened in Ireland.
For sure. For sure. Polish are great for picking mushrooms. I love picking mushrooms, and now's the season. So now is the time for chanterelles. Now for edible mushrooms, we're not talking about psychedelic mushrooms here at all. These are dinner mushrooms: chanterelles, hedgehogs, porcini mushrooms. Now is the season. If you have a nice woodland nearby, that's preferably unmaintained and got some native trees like birch or alder or oaks.
Yeah.
None of these brand new quilcha.
Yeah.
None of these just really horrible, insidious looking pine forests. And old woodland is going to be rife with beautiful mushrooms now at the moment. So go for a walk in the woods. If you see a golden mushroom looking up at you, it's more than likely a chanterelle. But be careful. Take it home and do a bit of research before you eat it. But it's great fun, yeah. And
that's where you grabbed that stuff that you brought out?
Yeah, I brought a few chanterelles for you there that I got in Durora Woods out in Oughterard maybe 2 days ago.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. I hope you like mushrooms. I just assume. Love them. You know. So yeah, and the Polish, where we're getting on, the Polish are great. They were great for porcini mushrooms, ceps or penny buns. They absolutely love those mushrooms. I was in the woods last year and I was picking chanterelles away, and these two I hear, like, there's no one out in these woods, and I hear footsteps and I'm like, oh, who's that? And these two Polish lads like froze as if they were up to no good, like, because they were caught or something. I was like, oh, you're just after mushrooms. And I brought them up to where I was getting chanterelles, but they had no interest in these chanterelles. They were after these porcini mushrooms, and they showed me what they looked like and I learned from them, and it was really cool. But it is strange, like, how the Polish people or just that culture would cultivate that kind of a thing towards going out and foraging your own dinner. Whereas in Ireland, that kind of seems a bit mad. If I say I'm going picking mushrooms, everyone just assumes I'm going getting liberty caps and going off tripping like a mad fool, you know. So
I suppose maybe they had to keep that kind of side of their lifestyle alive. Maybe under communism and stuff, they kind of had to find those. I wonder.
I mean, it's just such an amazing thing. Like, it's so much fun going off and picking your own food and going cooking it that evening and eating it. It's the most satisfying thing ever. Whether it be catching a fish and eating it, or picking a mushroom and eating it, or picking a few leaves for a salad and eating it, it's the best. And that wild food, to quote Peter Broderick's famous song, it's the best food. Like, this food is just growing wild. It hasn't been cultivated, it hasn't been put there, it's just there by its own accord and by, like, survival of the fittest kind of a thing in the plant and fungus kingdom.
We were down at the pier just down the road there last Thursday. The lads went down, caught a few pollock.
There's good fishing off there, is there?
Yeah, it's not too bad. And sure, we just went up to the local pub and just asked if we
cooked it up for you.
Cooked it up. No, we cooked it ourselves. We had like a barbecue at the back.
Way.
That was just like 2 pints, load of fish.
Savage.
Class.
Pollock's good fish.
Yeah.
I was fishing there in Spiddle. Oh, was it yesterday? It was yesterday morning. And didn't catch a thing. One tiny pollock, and I had to throw him back. That's the way it is.
Yeah.
It goes like that sometimes.
And even just for your own father's land.
Yeah.
Would there be no I know they probably don't have it now, but would there be any incentive for you to, like, plant native woodland or anything like that?
Oh, I intend to.
Yeah.
At some stage, to plant trees there, but the land is fairly good. You know, like usually in agriculture, you'd plant trees in a field that's kind of wet and marshy and not really good for anything else. You know, you'd put trees there. Now our land is beautiful, flat, pristine land, like the right side of the Corrib, as I say. But like, we cut down trees, or trees fall with the storm, so as we do that, I'd like to just plant them randomly.
Yeah.
You know, not like just set a field and put trees there. That would be a bit of a waste of our land. But yeah, I definitely intend to plant birch trees and oaks. Just think they're so beautiful. And birch trees have sap as well, that in time that you can put a little tap in there, drill a hole, and you can basically drink the sap. It's like the most fresh liquid ever.
Wow.
And the people, old Irish people used to do this going back hundreds of years. They would tap birch trees and boil it down into a syrup, and then dilute that syrup back into water and ferment it into like a mead, a birch mead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like a wine.
So you're doing the preservation and or preserves and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But did you start brewing your wine and your beer and your mead while you were working in that?
Exactly. Yeah. So it was just circumstance and having an interest. You know, I always was fascinated by that stuff. Yeah. And there was a fellow working on the farm, John Smith, who was a brewmaster. Literally, that's like he was qualified as a brewmaster.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And he'd worked with Galway Bay in Oranmore for a while and didn't like the whole corporate model of brewing. So he gave me some basic equipment, and he knew I was enthusiastic at just about everything.
So like a tap or whatever else?
Basically a bucket with an airlock, a fermenter. He gave me one of those, and he just said, throw something with sugar in there and pitch some yeast and see what happens, buddy. Now, he was super scientific. He'd be talking about percentages and gravity, and I'd be there, my head would be spinning, you know. So he's like, literally, tell me the simplest method that I could make something that I can enjoy with my friends. And he's just like, right, this is what you need to do. And once I started seeing a big batch of, what was it? It was mead. The first thing I made was mead. I bought a load of honey and mixed it with water and added yeast. And when you see it all bubbling up and alive and frothy, it was incredible. It was like I had just given birth, you know. And then you drink your own baby months later. So
wow, that's one way to put it. All right.
Yeah, it was cool. Well, women eat their own placenta, don't they? They do in the animal kingdom.
That's what Tom Cruise did anyway.
Yeah, I do it.
So is there a big difficulty jumping from like mead to, like, I know you brew your own porter?
Yeah, beer. There's a big difference. Yeah, so one is wine and one is like a beer. Mead is a wine made from honey, and beer then comes from barley, from grains. Wine is very simple to make, technically. Beer, there's a lot more process in extracting the sugar from barley to make beer. A quick rundown: wine is just like any fruit juice mixed with water and sugar, possibly, and then just fermented. Beer, you have to have barley. It has to go and be malted, which is another years of life to learn how to malt.
Okay.
But usually you just go to the brew shop and buy malted barley and start with that, you know. So beer is a far more complicated liquid than wine. And people think like, oh, beer is drank by like dudes at football matches and stuff, and wine is for the real posh people. But in reality, beer is a far more complex liquid to produce. There's so much more involved in making beer than there is in making wine. So I made a lot of beer over the pandemic where I just had loads of time, basically. But now I'm kind of getting back into it again. So I started making ciders, which is like basically just like apples. Yeah. So it's like cider is wine, but with apples.
There's shit ton of apples out the back, actually, if you want to take it.
I could take a few, make a few bottles and bring it back to you.
Yeah.
No worries.
Sounds good.
So yeah, there's a big difference there between wine and beer and cider, but it's all great. It's a great hobby. If you have any interest in that, I'd recommend just buying a real simple a brew kit or something like that, and just trying it and see what you think. There's a lot of work. If you're a lazy person, whatever, it's not for you. But if you want to do it, there's nothing going to stop you from doing it. People often say, "Oh yeah, sure, I'd love to make beer, but I just don't have the time." That's a load of shit, and people say that about everything, but just go for it. It's so much fun. It's awesome when you get to like pop open a bottle and share something that you made with your mates, and it's always super impressive. They're like, can't believe that you made this wine and it tastes somewhat decent. Yeah, it's not foul anyway.
So where did you go to school?
I went to Corrandulla Primary School, just up the road from me, and then I went to Jarlath's in Tuam, secondary school. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So did the music start in Jarlath's, or was it
would have? Yeah. Well, I always loved music as a kid. Just whatever my sister and my brother was listening to or was on MTV and the music channels. I just loved it. Do you know, I always thought electric guitars and rock stars were just incredible, and I always loved just listening to music. I probably got guitar lessons when I was in 5th class. So like, what is that, a 10-year-old, 11-year-old or something like that? And but I didn't practice. I just wanted to be able to play guitar, but I didn't want to practice. So I left that, and then I started first year, and I met a good friend of mine, Brendan Murray, who went on to represent Ireland at the Eurovision a good few years ago.
Oh wow!
He had a great career for himself in music. He was in Louis Walsh's boy band and all this. And
what one was he in?
Hometown. This is years. They kind of fell apart now and all. That's a whole different story. But Brendan's I think he's got a great solo career. He's got a great pop voice. The perfect pop voice. So I met him in first year in Jarlath's and Tuam, and we liked the same kind of music, and I came over to his house for a sleepover on a weekend, and I saw him playing a few chords on the guitar, and I got so jealous. I was like, there's no way I'm hanging around with this lad. If he can play the guitar and I can't, you know, that just wasn't going to happen. So I picked up the guitar again, and I just was hours every single day just playing like a maniac, you know. And that was it then. Had all the teenage angsty bands in secondary school. I was super open to everything. I bought a bass. We would busk a lot, actually. Me and Brendan, two lovely looking, two adorable 14-year-olds on Galway Street singing Wagon Wheel and...
Down Shop Street.
We were singing the hits. Like, we quickly figured out it was like mammies and daddies who were giving us the money. You know, so we would sing Ed Sheeran and all those pop songs at the time. But when we would sing like a Beatles tune or like Neil Diamond or something that like our parents were listening to, that's when we really got the crowd, like, you know. So we quickly figured that out. Saved a lot of money as a teenager. And then I bought basses and drum kits, and I just got interested in every part of the
you're quite the
bands.
multi-instrumentalist. Like.
Somewhat. Like, I'm like, what is it? Jack of all trades, master of none. That describes me quite well. But I'd say the guitar is the primary. Like, that's the roots. The banjo and the fiddle is all for crack. Bass is just... It just comes along with it, you know. I haven't played drums properly in a long time, but there is a drum kit at the house, you know. I wouldn't say I'm a drummer because I've played with drummers and there's serious levels, like, you know. So I can hold a rhythm sometimes, but I'm not a drummer, no. If you paid me enough money, I'd practice drums to play, but get a different drummer. It started in secondary school. I had a great music teacher, Connie Burke, in Jarlath's. She was just such a lovely lady, and she just couldn't encourage us to play music enough. So a person like that really can just give you a boost, push you on, you know.
And I suppose you have people like the Saw Doctors and stuff in to look up to.
That's iconic.
And did you know Echo Heart and stuff knocking around?
He was a few years ahead of me in school. I would have known him casually. Yeah. Like, I don't think now he'd recognise me at all, but I'd recognise him because he was older than me. Yeah. So he was 2 years older than me, and not many kids play music in that school. Yeah. So all the music kids would end up doing
stuff. Football, is it?
Yeah, it's a football school, exactly. But there was a concert every year from the music kids. So I remember playing with him in like some cover of, I don't know, some pop song at the time. I think it was like Sweet Disposition. Do you remember that song?
Yeah.
I think we played that. But I would have known him. But I don't think now he'd recognise me on the street. Yeah, but if I'd stop him and say, look, remember I was in Jarlath's. His sister was in my class, actually. Okay. So, yeah, I saw I was actually listening to his podcast for today as well. It was nice. It was nice to hear him. Nice to hear he's still at it, because he was so enthusiastic about it.
Yeah, he's off in Nashville at the moment.
No way. I think so. There you go. Like, that's class.
So you stuck with the music for a while, and then you kind of dipped your toe into MMA for a time.
Well, was
that were you still in secondary school?
No, I did my leaving cert, and I started MMA's beginners course like a couple of weeks after. Yeah. I had no aspirations to play music. I was only kind of playing music for the crack at home. Played in a few bands. They kind of felt to shot. We were showing like kind of half-arsed bands just to be drinking pints.
I don't know,
we were teenagers. Yeah, exactly. And
there's nothing wrong with that.
I didn't have a car, and I was asking my older brother and my dad to be lugging a drum kit around. It just couldn't work. Yeah. So then I was like, right, okay, park all that stuff aside. I would always play music at home just for the crack, like mad electric music at home. And then my cousin, like me and my older brother, we'd knock lumps out of each other. Just having an older brother, that's how it goes. And we all, like, there was UFC video games that we loved to play, and I don't know, it's just two lads love fighting. It's such a male, such a brutal.
It's a very tune thing, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So we knew our cousin did a bit of MMA, and my brother saw that there was an ad for a beginner's course in Strange Wolves in the Claddagh there.
Oh, is that where that's based? Is it
in the Claddagh? Yeah, Craven House Judo Hall. I don't know if it's still there now, because there was talks of that being sold, but I haven't been there for a long time now. But anyway, so we started a beginner's course there, and again, I have quite an obsessive personality, and me and my brother just got absolutely hooked. Like, we just saw the vibe. Everyone was so chill and so relaxed while strangling each other to death. Like, and it was just incredible. So yeah, me and my brother got hooked. Then just training ridiculous amounts of time, like 5-6 days a week, sometimes twice a week. We started taking it super seriously. Started from jiu-jitsu to doing full MMA and taking MMA fights. And when you're in it at that level, and it's just amateur, it wasn't pro. I had aspirations to be pro, but when you're in it at that level, it kind of doesn't leave room for anything else. Like, it determines your diet. You're not going out. Like, I wasn't out Friday nights because I was sparring Saturday mornings. You know, it really does dictate everything. So it requires so much discipline to do MMA like that, competitively, to take fights. It's different now if you're just training casually.
Yeah.
That's kind of what the stage I'd like to get back to. I'll never take a fight again, but I'd love to just go back and see the lads for the crack.
So where were you training? It's a place out in Athenry.
Yeah, that's where my home club would be. Conriucht out in Athenry. Kevin Moran has a gym out there. He would have started with the Strange Wolves. That's where I started in there. Vinnie Conley and Kevin Moran. They had a great club and there was a great crew. But Kev wanted to start his own group, and he's from Athenry, so he started out there, and it was more competition based. So anyone who kind of wanted to take fights, they would go there.
Okay,
that's kind of how it was. There was a bit of a split. It was a bit weird for a while, but I think it's all good now.
Because there's Shaolin MMA.
There's Shaolin MMA. You have Point Blank, which is just a jiu-jitsu gym now, I think.
Okay.
There's a few kickboxing gyms that maybe do a bit of MMA on the side. I'm not sure, but I'm kind of out of that world now in Galway. But if you want to go do MMA, go to Athenry, K-Fit. Kevin Moran's hilarious.
That's the man.
That's it.
And how so when you say, so I know you fought some fights for that Clan Wars promotion.
Clan Wars, yeah.
That's amateur, is it?
That's amateur, yeah.
So how does one take a step up to professional in Ireland?
You
have to pay for a license
no. Any fool can actually take a fight if you know the right people. But usually it's the coaches who are organising all this stuff, and the community is good enough where they don't let any bum just go in and take a pro fight. Yeah,
and get the head kicked off.
Yeah, no, there has been stories of lads kind of being, they want to be like, I want to be the next Conor McGregor, and they just come into the gym and they want to fight the next week, and it's not, the coach isn't going to say no. He's paying his money here, so if he keeps paying his money here, we'll let him do that. But I was lucky enough to find a gym where the lads weren't like that. They were very, very clever about it. And I didn't take an amateur fight until I had like over 20 novice matches, which are they're like a load of different MMA clubs will meet up in an MMA club and we'll match you up with you. You've been training the same amount of time as him. You lads are about the same age. Everyone's the same weight. So they're called novice or inter club matches.
Okay.
They were really good for like just meeting the whole community in Ireland and kind of testing yourself, seeing if you were able to take a fight, seeing if you liked it, because it's definitely not for everyone. It's the most terrifying thing I've ever done is to take a fight.
You took a few as well.
Yeah, I had loads of those novice fights, and I thought nothing of it. But there was a different gravy when you're stepping into a cage. No, it's just amateur, and anyone who's doing pro, they might think, they're just amateur fights. But for me, anyway, I was the great overthinker. Like, I would get so worked up and so stressed out about these fights, that it wasn't doing me any good. I just wasn't enjoying it. I really wasn't enjoying the stress of the fight. So I had 4 amateur fights. I lost 2 and won 2. So I was like, okay,
that's a good record.
Yeah, straight down the middle there. I kind of, won 2 and lost 2. I was happy with that.
And were you working in the farm, the green farm.
Yeah, just working on the farm, training at night.
Yeah,
Green Earth Organics. Yeah.
And then the Green Earth farm then. Did that overlap with the MMA as well, or had you moved on at that stage?
No. They overlapped. Yeah. The Green Earth Organics totally allowed me to just train MMA full time, basically. So I'd work, 8 hours in the morning. I'd be in the gym for 3-4 hours in the evening. That was 5 days a week, and then on Saturday mornings we were sparring. Sundays were off, but if you were mad enough, you could turn up on a Sunday for a few casual, talk shite and just mess around, a bit of drilling. So yeah, there was an overlap. I was working and doing MMA full time with aspirations of maybe going pro at some stage. Now that didn't last for long. I kind of knew that I was like, right, I'm not cut out for this, really. Yeah. My brother handled competition very well. He kind of just thought less about it, and he could just block out whatever was going through his head. But whatever it was, I just really overthought it way too much, you know, and it just wasn't doing me any good.
I suppose if you stop enjoying it,
there you go. It was as simple as that. I just didn't like competing anymore, and I'd done it. It was so proud to have done it, because many people would train MMA or jiu-jitsu and never take a fight. So it stands to me. I think I'm very proud of that, and you gain a lot of in personality and like confidence as a person when you're getting beaten up every single day,
make you humble.
There's something you gain from it anyway. Yeah. People say I'm kind of confident when they meet me, or like a cocky bastard or whatever. Peter always cuts me down and says that, but it doesn't come from nowhere, you know.
Young cocky Irish lad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm proud of it. Not totally arrogant. I'm somewhat self-aware anyway. I'd like to think.
So you started taking music a bit more seriously when you met the man himself.
Yeah. So the big COVID came down, and nothing changed for me. I mean, I was supposed to fight on the Saturday, and I think the country shuts down on the Thursday. Was it the 17th of March? I'm not sure, but it was 2 days before I was supposed to fight. The country got shut down and my fight got cancelled. I was on weight. So obviously you do weight cutting for MMA, you do dieting for weeks up. You're on a low plane of nutrition.
And how severe, even on an amateur level, is it to cut your weight?
People go crazy. I didn't. Unfortunately, I didn't have to do too much.
It's a severe process.
It is. But you're dieting like for 4 or 5, 6 weeks, depending on how much weight you had to lose. So I'd fight at 66. My first two were 66 kilos. I had a bit of weight to lose for that because I'm naturally around 74, 75.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of weight.
That is a lot
for your first fight. That was a lot, but I learned, I was like, right, I can't do this. So I started fighting at 70 kilos, which was much better. And that was like 6 weeks of calorific deficit diet. Okay. So I'd be weighing out my food every morning and making sure that my calories don't go over like 2,300. Absolutely wreck your head. Like, this will drive you crazy. And it will also make you develop like a complex towards food that's not good.
Not healthy.
It's definitely, it's the worst part of MMA is the whole weight cutting and weight management. And I love to eat. I love my food. I hate having to. You just look at a plate of like potatoes and meat and veg, and you're like, Jesus, I could eat twice this. Like, but you don't think about it. So yeah, COVID came down. My fight got cancelled, and so whatever. I wasn't fighting, so let's go get a Supermax or something just straight away. And a couple of weeks go by, and then nothing's happening. I'm just chilling out. The whole world seems to be falling apart, but my job was still going. Yeah. Because it was the delivery service of food, and that industry started booming at the time. So no one was going to the shops, but this farm was doing deliveries. So we were busier than ever in the COVID.
So just like a box of veg delivered to a person's house.
That's exactly it. And loads of people, there was more business than ever. So, I was busier. Nothing ever changed. I still went to work in the morning, and obviously we weren't going to the pub, we weren't doing anything. There wasn't any MMA, no jiu-jitsu. No one was having contact like that. Few months go by, I guess, and then Peter Broderick rocks up to the farm. And I didn't know who he was. He was just some American lad who started working here. He said he was a musician, and he couldn't get gigs because he supported his whole life playing gigs, and now the whole world has stopped. So he had to get a normal job, and this was only one of the only places open and still going at the time. So he was coming out from Spiddle to Corrandulla, which is like 45 minute drive, maybe an hour depending on traffic.
Yeah.
You know, to
It's
come
a
out
spin, all right.
and work. Yeah, that's a good spin. He was coming out to Corrandulla to my place of work, and we would talk. Me and him just clicked, and a couple other buddies. We had a lovely crew of mates, and we'd go and have our tea breaks together. And the crack and the shy talking we would be having on those breaks were hilarious. Like, just random workplace lads chatting. Like, it's just some of the most beautiful thing ever. I don't know. And me and Peter kind of hit it off really well because we were both into foraging. Him more so than me at that stage. But I was super enthusiastic about it. I thought it was awesome. And he thought it was really cool how I had an interest in making mead and making jam and pickles and fermentation. So we were just two super like-minded people who just clicked like that. And he knew I played a bit of music casually because we had talked about it. But I didn't know how serious his music career was. He was just another dude to me.
Yeah.
And I would have slagged him loads the first day I met him.
Oh, you're a musician.
Yeah,
you?
exactly.
Yeah.
But think about it. He's coming into my place of work and all this, you know, there's all this hazing that goes on, which is horrible looking back now. But
to maybe paint a picture of him, he's from the States originally.
He's from Portland, Oregon.
Yeah.
And he moved over to Europe when he was 20 to play music with a band called Efterklang.
They're great, actually.
Incredible. Yeah. Like, bizarre, really, like, enthusiastic, like, out there music. I don't know how to describe it. I don't know what category to put that in either, but go check out Efterklang. And yeah, ever since he was 20, he supported himself by playing music. So that's probably like 16 years now, and he's got an amazing solo career, from ambient music to folk music to whatever, you know.
Yeah, to say that he's prolific is probably putting it.
Absolutely,
like,
yeah. His body of work is super impressive. I wouldn't say I know half of his music, as well as I know him now at this stage. You know, anytime we're playing at a session, he pulls out a song. He's like, "Oh, I wrote this song like 10 years ago," and it's awesome.
Shut up, Peter.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, not again. But great fella. He's just such a lovely fella, and he saw something in me, I guess. Well, there was something that happened in between. Like, my mum was sick. She had cancer for years.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Yeah, and she passed away then in that time during COVID. Yeah, she passed away. That would have been May 21, wasn't it? Yeah, May 21. And I was off work then for a few weeks, or maybe a month or two at that stage. And Peter was getting a tour going. His agent was booking some shows in the UK, and Peter got the idea of putting a band together. And he called me up one day, wondering if I would like to play bass for him. And like, my jaw dropped, and I instantly said yes. And like, visions of like teenage dreams of touring around the world had just flown into my head, and now this opportunity had just dropped right into my lap. And from that, then me and another lad from he's from Antrim, but he lives in Liverpool, Paddy Blaney. He just messaged Peter out of the blue, "If you're looking for a drummer in the UK, I have a van." Bang, just some random off the cuff message from Instagram, and Peter was like, "I've got a tour coming up. I need a van." So we all met up in the house in Spiddle, rehearsed a couple tunes for maybe a week or two, had a great time just hanging out, and then we went off on tour. And
where'd you tour?
We had a few shows in Ireland. We played in Connolly's down in West Cork.
Connolly's a leap.
Yeah, Leap, yeah.
Oh, Leap, is that how
I think it's Leap. They say Leap down there. Yeah. I was down there.
Get it right
2 weeks ago. It's definitely Leap.
It's quite the spot, actually.
Oh, it's an iconic place.
Yeah.
Connolly's. Sam McNichol, shout out. He's got a great thing going down there. Yeah, we played there. We were up in Belfast, the Ulster Sports Hall. Where else were we? We were in Kerry for Tralee, some church in Tralee. We were supposed to play some garden centre, that fell through, so we played in a church, which was pretty cool. So we had 3 shows in Ireland, and then we went to the UK. We played in London. We played in Leicester, Leeds, Manchester, Liverpool. There might be another city or two. Yeah, we had about 9 or 10 shows, basically, in the UK and Ireland. Over like
that must have been an
10
amazing
11
experience.
days. It was incredible. Like
worlds apart from Corrandulla.
Come on, like here was this bogger from some farmer from Corrandulla there up on stage in the Jazz Cafe in London in front of like 400 people, and they, I just go up to the mic and was like, "How are you lads?" And the crowd started dying laughing. I was such a novelty to them as well, and I was just soaking it up. It was just incredible. And when we got back from that tour, things kind of settled down a bit, and there's like this after tour blues where you're like, how do we get that again? Like, this is just another tour for Peter, but it was my first exposure to professional music, and once I had earned that bit of money playing music, nothing would ever compete. And I knew from that moment that I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. If I can sustain myself as a single person with no responsibilities, all I have to do is put petrol in my car, basically. It's definitely achievable for me to support my life for a while by playing music.
And what were you playing when you were on tour with
bass?
Bass?
Yeah, I was playing bass for him and vocals. So that was no bother. And it was just the most fun ever. And then his partner, Bridgie, a partner at the time, Bridgie, she had another tour coming up a couple of months later. And
that's Bridget
May Power. Yeah. And so
she's great in her own right.
She's incredible.
Yeah.
Like, she's got such I don't know how to describe her
voice. She's Irish with a name like that, is she?
Yeah. She's from Galway, but she...
Is she from Galway?
Yeah, she lived in London for a lot of time. Her dad is like from Waterford but lives in London. She's got family in London as well. Her mum lives in Galway.
I thought she was from Kerry.
She's a bit all over the place, but I think she would say she's a Galway head.
Yeah.
And she's living in Knocknacarra now with Sean.
Oh, okay.
And her mum is there in on Taylor's Hill.
Oh, okay.
And she's just so sweet, like, and she was so nice to me as well. Like, me and Peter were best buddies, but she also embraced me as well and brought me into her band, which I really appreciated because, me and Peter were best buddies, but like I wasn't necessarily her best friend. We would have great chats and conversations, but she felt happy enough to bring me on her own tour.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah. So we went on tour then, the three of us, all around England. I don't know if we had shows in Ireland. I think we went straight to England and played shows in Wales and whatever, London and all those mad English cities. So that was quite the experience for me anyway. Yeah. But looking back at it now, because I'm on my own now, trying to make my own name in it, it's kind of a bit strange jumping into the deep end when you're starting off, because now I'm playing these smaller gigs and they're like not as satisfying as like playing the Jazz Cafe, which is like, it's something to struggle with. Like, I'm complaining about that, but it is something that is kind of wrecking at my head a bit.
You have to pay your dues now.
Of course, you kind of have to earn your own way, because I can't be getting everything off Peter's plate. Like, I get enough from him. Yeah, I kind of have to cut my own teeth.
But sure, like, there's plenty of artists out there, like, that played to crowds of 2 or 3 for years. Absolutely. And stuff like that. It was Jeff Buckley used to play, and it would just be like 2 or 3 of them in the crowd and stuff like that. No one's listening to him, so
it's tough. It's definitely tough. I was just down in West Cork. Me and Peter had some shows down there, and in Ahakista, Arundel's by the pier, Katrina Kane runs a beautiful show down there, and the crowd there were just so enthusiastic.
Oh, great. Like,
for me as a performer, when the crowd are that energetic, it's just like makes your work so much easier. Anything I would have played, they were like, yes, give us more. They were just so awesome. So that for me makes it really easy. And then you could play a gig where the crowd are like stiff and dead and you can hear crickets, and it's just harder work and you feel like it's all crumbling in front of you. So that's something I'm struggling with,
Depends on the venue, doesn't it?
It does. And often you might feel that you played a really bad gig and that the crowd was dead, but someone comes up to you and is like, man, I love that,
But even if you pay money into a gig or whatever, and you're going to see an established act, and there's always people there fucking talking.
That's so true.
It was just like, would you ever shut the fuck up? Yeah. You're only here to hear, they're probably only there to hear 1 or 2 songs at the end or whatever. True. It was like, Jesus Christ. It does my head in, like.
Yeah.
Or even like we went to see some of the, wasn't it last year, maybe the year before, Jesus, who was it? James Vincent McMurrow, I think, yeah. And we seen him in the Big Top, and then we seen him up in Dublin somewhere. And some of them songs are quite
slow songs or
lo-fi, kind of intimate, and then you can just hear this murmur of chat. Shut the fuck up, please.
Yeah.
But
there's no place for that. Not for folk music or like this when it's not a rockin' band who are just drowning out everything. Like some people are coming to the show to be quiet and to listen, and then other people are just coming to drink pints maybe.
Yeah.
Or they're just tagging along because they got a ticket. Yeah. That's all out of your control as a performer. The crowd are going to be the crowd, and it's about learning to just be like a rock, just be super strong and be very confident in the music that you're playing, and to just bust it out, whether there's 10, 20, 300 people there. It should be the same energy, same performance, more or less.
Yeah. You
have to know your crowd and kind of judge them a bit. But
so when did you record the EP?
Recorded the EP back in, what was it? I think it was November, I think.
Last year?
Yeah. I think it was November, and then it was released in February. We recorded it over 4 or 5 days, me and Peter. Peter had been like just egging me on, saying like, look, let's just record some of these songs for the crack, just for posterity. And he really wanted to produce it because we knew we'd just have loads of fun in the studio together, just adding little bits of whatever. And I knew straight away that I wanted him to do everything with him as well, you know. So we had a free house, the two of us, for I think 4 or 5 days. We just had an empty house and we just rocked out. Started off with one song, and then he said, let's do another, and we just kept going, and it ended up being five very different songs.
Yeah, it's quite musically diverse.
Yeah, it touches on a different genre there, like, you know. That's something I'm still trying to establish, a style. If I ever will have a style or anything like this, I don't know. But that EP, it's definitely touching on a lot of bases. There's one very dramatic, airy piano piece at the end, but there's also like a blood and guts blues rock song that has a weird drum track beat going through it, you know. So
would you say that's Blues for the Working Man, is it?
Yeah, that's that song. Yeah,
would you say that's an ode to your father?
It is. It's also about working a shite job, a job that you don't like. But there's definitely some verses directly about Dad.
Yeah.
Some quotes that my father would have said to me, like, you can only play the cards you're dealt, which is a great line. It's like, you know, you can only don't be worrying about what's out of your control, or, you know, you can only play with what you've got.
Yeah.
I love that kind of stuff. It's full of euphemisms. Us Irish farmers were full of like these one-liners and like, you know, oh, the man that wet it'll dry it, all this stuff.
Well, I haven't heard that one before.
That's a good one, yeah. That's a good.
The man who.
The man that this is actually a lyric in one of my new songs. My dad would always say this when we're making hay, and if it rains on the hay, he say, "The man that wet it'll dry it." Talking about like, don't be worrying about the weather because God will dry it. I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Some old man in the village used to say that, I think. So, it's a homage to old people.
It's definitely a body of work. I know you're only starting off, but as the first EP, it's something you should be proud of.
That's great to hear, because they're some of the first songs I ever wrote. You know, I never wrote a song until sometime last year, maybe midsummer last year. I always had wanted to be a musician, but didn't have the confidence to write a song for the fear of what people might think.
Yeah.
How silly that sounds, I know, but it's a real thing. Like, you know, am I pouring my heart out here about heartbreak in a song, and I don't want to tell everyone about that. So I struggled with that for years. Like, ever since I was a teenager, I probably did write a few songs and just be like, burnt them or ripped them up, never to see them ever again, you know, which was awful. But there you go, that's the way it was.
I suppose to put yourself out there in any kind of creative pursuit is terrifying.
It is terrifying.
And the way people, especially in the modern age, people just, you know, you've got your keyboard warriors.
It's so easy to just pass a comment. Yeah. You're shite.
Yeah, you're shite. Shut the fuck up.
yeah, you're shite, man. You know, you go back and forth.
But even the first track, When the Times Were Harder.
Yeah.
Very kind of early villagers give me the vibe.
Wow, no way! What a big compliment. Shout out to Conor O'Brien.
He's fucking great.
He's a lovely fella. Yeah, that's a nice sweet song. I still love to play that song. I like to open up my set with it. Yeah, like, I don't know, it's hard to say what that song is about, but I mean, there is an idea of like, I mean, I didn't have a hard life in comparison to the hard lives that exist in this world. I lived a very cushy, privileged life. But I've had my own troubles. You know, my mum was sick for years, and everyone's got their own battles. Everyone remembers when the times were a little harder, to quote myself. Whether that be when you your parents who remember like what it was like not having electricity or a fucking toilet in the house, or if it's you remembering when life was a bit harder and you appreciate to the moment where you are now. I think that's kind of what I meant by that song. But it's a sweet little kind of folk song, and it breaks into a mad like play out at the end.
Yeah, the breakdown. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just what I don't know. It's cool. I like to start my set with it because it starts off nice and sweet, but then it opens into something more exciting and fun. And I like to do that with most of my sets when I'm playing music.
A friend of yours, well, I presume she's a friend of yours, Lana Ariel did the cover art for
Lana Ariel. Oh, she's my best friend. Herself and Eddie, they're my neighbours. They both live in Corrandulla.
Oh, do they? Yeah.
So I'm in their house most time during the week. We're just playing music and having the crack. Yeah, Lana's an incredible artist. Lana Ariel, Witch of Paintings on Instagram. You should go check her out.
Is she part of the West End Collective?
She is. Yeah. She I don't know. She's part of it. She used to have a key, and she does work there and holds stuff. I don't know what that's involved. You'd have to get her on to talk about it.
Yeah, I wanted to get a few of those lads on here.
You got Anna as well. She's a tattooist in there. She's a lovely woman. They're a great crew of people in there.
What's her second name, Anna?
Anna.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not sure. She's Portuguese. It's Kitsune Art, I think, on Instagram. But, West End Art Gallery. But Lana is incredible. She's an amazing painter. Beautiful. And once I knew I was making an EP, she was always going to do the cover art, you know. And she was trying to like because people commission her for a painting and they have these ideas and this is exactly what I want, and I didn't have any of this shit. I was just like, make it, go do it.
Yeah.
You know me well enough, go do it. But she actually really did want some direction, okay, for the way she works. So we sat down and I was like, right, these are the things that I love. Go put them on my cover art. So there's my dog, there's like a fishing pole, there's a banjo, there's just a load of random shit that are just things that I love in my life. So that's how it ended up. It's just like, go check it out. It's there on my Instagram or on Spotify. It's the cover art. Just random pictures on a beautiful magenta pink background. And yeah, the details of my face, I think it's a great likeness of me. She did a great job. The original is in my studio at home. I look at it every single day.
Nice.
So Lana's incredible. My best friend.
So going forward, what's the plan for the future? Any gigs planned? Any future EPs or
plan for the future is to support my life by playing music. That's the goal ultimate. A smaller time coming up for me at the moment. This Sunday, the 10th of September, I'll be playing in the Old 55 as part of the Sunshine Sessions. I suppose it'd be one of the last of the Sunshine Sessions.
They might even have sunshine.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Conor McMorrow, DJ Green, he's been really nice to me the last couple of months. Again, I didn't know this fella at all. He didn't know me, but he messaged me out of the blue and said, this guy Matthew Nightshade recommended me to get you on the show, so come up and play. And I did, and they loved it, I loved it. And so he's asked me back. I think this will be my 4th or 5th time playing there for him as part of this show, so it's really cool. The good thing about this gig is there's like maybe 8 or 9 different acts on the whole night. So oftentimes there mightn't be a big crowd there, but it's just other musicians playing for other musicians.
Yeah.
Which I really love that. You know, it's the Old 55, so it can be hit and miss on a night. You know, it's not always going to be full of people.
It's a nice spot actually as well, though.
Yeah, and I mean, I just love the various musicians. I've met some really cool people there that are also playing music, so I really like it. So that's the 10th of September. 10th September on this Sunday coming in the Old 55. That's the only gig I have confirmed coming up. But if anybody wants me to play music with them, I would love to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I also play a lot of trad music with a few people, and recently started playing old time American music with Colin Tierney and Kyle. So yeah, I'm just open to just playing all sorts of music. So yeah, trying to get better at the fiddle. That's a long-term goal. This will be a life project of mine. And yeah, like I said, to be able to justify not getting a real job for a while. That's the goal. That's the goal. Now I have no problem. Look, if I have to get a job in a year or two to support my playing music, that's fine. I will get a job in some factory and just clock in and clock out.
Yeah.
But music's the thing. I'm all in with it. Like so.
So EP special tunes. It's on Spotify and
it's on Spotify. It will soon be on Bandcamp. I was talking to some people down in West Cork, and they were like, "Is it on Bandcamp?" And I was like, "No." So
you might actually get paid for that.
You put it on Bandcamp, and people buy it, and you ship it to them. So it's actually really good. Like, so it will be on. It will be on everything. It's on YouTube, Spotify, Bandcamp, Deezer, all the stuff. You can buy a copy from me if you message me on Instagram and you want a copy of the CD. I'll more than happily send it to you.
What's your Instagram?
Eoghan Higgins 209 EOGHAN. People get confused with the spelling of Owen often. And yeah, that's it. The EP is there. There's some stickers as well. A little bit of merch. I'm not too crazy about the merch at the moment. But it's nice to have a CD to sell at the end of your show. If people often do want to hear more. So it's nice to have something. It's nice to have it on Spotify, and it's nice to have a CD. Not many people listen to CDs anymore, but it might just be a pretty little artwork on the mantelpiece or something like that.
Well, go to the gig, buy the artist CD.
Yeah.
And sure, if you want to listen on Spotify after that,
that's it.
Do that. But
it's a great way of supporting a small artist. I really appreciate it. Sure. It's only a tenner, but that's a lot to me when I'm not earning money every day or every week. You know. So yeah.
Well, thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks, Richard. Jesus, that felt like it flew.
Yeah,
great fun.
Just under an hour. Spot on.